Hi there, and welcome back to the Energy Sector Heroes podcast. My name is Michelle Fraser, and every week I will speak with incredible people who share their lessons, experiences, and stories from their time spent in the energy sector. My guest today is David Goodman. David is an incredible sustainability expert and CEO of Edenark Group. David, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I'm David Goodman. I run a company by the name of Edenark Group, and you're correct, we're in the sustainability space.
How did you get started off in the energy sector?
Well, I was a wee young lad. My grandfather and father were both automobile mechanics, and the family business was a garage, an auto garage, and I grew up being an apprentice mechanic. I would clean the shop floor and clean all the parts, and then when I got a little bit older, I was given the easy jobs of working on cars. So from literally the age of probably 5 or 6, I was in a garage. And then a little bit later on, I was working on helping cars become more efficient, working with engines, performance. So from the earliest I can remember, I've always been around engines and trying to get more efficiency and more performance, more power out of them.
Okay, excellent. Who was your role model? And why did you find them inspirational?
I would say my father and my grandfather. I mean, I spent so much time with both of them when I was young, watching them both just on a daily basis, but watching them interact with clients and watching them run that small business and just the way they went about their, if you will, presentation. Back in those days, we didn't have, personal brand or anything like that, but just the way they handled themselves and the way they kept, honesty and integrity and work ethic. I was impressed then, and I'm still impressed to this day.
What do you find most challenging about your current role, and how do you handle it?
The biggest issue that we face is effectively communicating value. What people that we're speaking to, we help small to mid-sized enterprises. That would be an organization under $1 billion US. What we do is we help them become environmentally certified sustainable, and people get that on the environment side. They get the fact that it's helping the planet. What they don't understand, and what we constantly have to work at, is explaining the financial value, the fact that this really helps a business perform better and become more attractive to consumers and the marketplace. So our biggest challenge is communicating the full value of what we're delivering.
Okay. And do you think sustainability is going to be important for just now in the energy sector and in the future?
Oh, absolutely. So the energy sector and the energy sector is more than just fossil fuels. But
Yeah.
even if we just focus just on fossil fuels, those organizations have to create a mechanism for their companies to effectively grow, and that if you continue to use all the resources, pretty soon you won't grow. So sustainability and being able to maximize the resources that you have and making sure that there are resources tomorrow, not just today, is critical for any business in any sector.
Okay. And if a company was going to want to increase their sustainability, how would they go about doing that?
So there are, you're looking at the internal effort and the external impression. So a company could tomorrow decide that they want to become more sustainable, and they could do some studying, and they could read some books, and they could decide to do some things internally that would help their organization be greener, less energy use, and more sustainable. That's easy. The problem with that is there's so much greenwashing, there's so much misrepresentation, there's so much puffery in advertising, i.e., my toothpaste will give you the whitest white, that if that company wants the, if you will, attaboys, the market appreciation that comes from doing the right thing, comes from becoming more sustainable, it's going to have some kind of third-party validation, because there are so many claims of sustainability that just aren't true. So a company could do wonderful things internally and if you will, check a lot of boxes in terms of becoming a more sustainable company, but the marketplace will not recognize or appreciate what they've done until they have some kind of a valid third-party certification or some kind of a validation for the marketplace to recognize that they really did the things that they said. So where I'm going here is, if a company just wants to do good and become more sustainable for all the right reasons, i.e., helping the planet and helping itself grow and be better, that is absolutely wonderful. But if that company also wants the revenue side and brand side gains that come with that, i.e., market appreciation, increases in sales because consumers want to buy from good corporate citizens, that company is going to have to become certified by a valid, legitimate third party, so the market can see that they really did the things that they claimed they did.
Okay, excellent, interesting. How does your current role compare to the aspirations you had as a young boy?
How did my current role compare to the aspirations I had as a young boy? Well, when I was a young boy, I wanted to be a professional football player. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I wanted to be all those things. As I grew, and let's say early in my career, in my early career, I didn't strive to do good. In other words, I wanted a career, I wanted to grow, I wanted to do all the things that a person that goes into business wants to do, just on the personal side, the, if you will, the narcissistic side. Let's get a promotion, let's get a raise, let's work harder than the guy in the next cubicle or whatever. At some point, and I can't recall exactly when, but I recognized that that was not as fulfilling as I originally thought it would be, and I wanted to do good. So if, in my case, I made a conscious choice that I'm going to work hard anyway, I might as well work hard at something that I love and that I feel that I'm giving back. So for me, the choice was made to get into a business that I feel good about. And at the end of the day, I feel like I've maybe made the world a little bit better than it was when the day started. And that means a lot to me.
Okay, excellent. In your opinion, what makes an outstanding hire?
An outstanding hire: honesty, empathy, positive energy. We will not keep a person around if we find that they are not honest in every way. If they're misleading, if they're in any way misrepresenting, or if they're trying to get to an end in an inappropriate way, we won't have them on the team. Second, they must have empathy. They must care about others. That empathy comes out in a person asking questions, reaching out, wanting to hear about other people rather than just wanting to sell your point. If you have empathy, you want to learn about that other person. And when you learn about that other person, you find out what their needs are, and good things come out of that. And then finally, if you will, cup half full versus cup half empty. We all get up in the morning, and we have all kinds of things that happen to us during that day. It's our choice to interpret those as a negative or as a positive. And if that person has positive energy and carries that with them and sees the good that happens in things, that's those three qualities: honesty, empathy, and positive energy, are what we look for.
Excellent. It's good advice. Have you encountered any career disasters, and how did you handle them?
Oh, career disasters. For 25-ish years, I've been a corporate enhancement CEO or chairman, where private equity or venture capital has hired me and parachuted me in to improve troubled companies. So I'm put into some pretty challenging environments, and in many cases, when I get into that company, I find that it's a bigger mess than what you were told. And so the choices that you make in those situations, in effect, following what I was just saying before, honesty, empathy, and positive energy, are critical to those kinds of situations, because you have the opportunity to make bad decisions. You have the opportunity to make choices that may show short-term gain but not long-term benefit. So I've faced many situations where I was challenged in terms of making a choice that I thought was the good, right decision versus, let's call it, short-term financial gain for somebody.
Okay, excellent. In your opinion, what has been I'll ask you, what is your zone of genius?
Zone of genius? I don't know what that means, and I certainly wouldn't say that I have a zone of genius.
What are you most good at?
What am I most good at? I think that what I learned, and the reason why I've been a corporate enhancement executive for so many years, is I seem to have the ability to sort through and find the key things to focus on and to stay focused on them. I mean, we all are busy during our day, and you can fill up your day with a lot of, if you will, busy work. And at the end of the day, you're exhausted because you worked so hard. But does that necessarily mean you work smart? That whole work smart versus hard. And I found that when I'm parachuted into troubled companies, there are alligators everywhere. You're in the water with all kinds of problems, and finding those key things to focus on that will benefit the company, and staying focused on those key things, not getting sucked into other directions, is critical. And for some reason, I seem to be good at that. I don't know why, but it seems to be something that's sort of a calling.
Okay, thank you. How would you describe your typical working week?
I usually get up at 4 to 4:30 and do a good amount of, call it, administrative work, and get things done that I wasn't able to do the day before. And then starting with what most of us call the normal day of 8-ish a.m. That's when I start communicating with people, and with staff, and responding to whatever calls and such I have. Mid-morning, I try to carve off some time for some strategic planning that allows us to think about where we're going. The afternoon is mostly just filled with filling the pipeline of duties that are required, and then in the evening, I try to catch up on all those things I wasn't able to do during the day. So I bounce back and forth between administrative and growth and administrative and growth, and I try my best to carve out specific times of the day for that, so that I can, if you will, reset my head so that my focus is better. I find that if I just sort of wade back and forth, I don't do a good job. I have to carve out time and reset myself so that I can focus properly on the task at hand.
Okay, thank you. In your work and environment, who do you depend on the most?
The most. We have a wonderful team that I'm dependent on every day. In terms of outside us, we have some great partners that support what we do and that help us with delivering our service. And so I'm dependent on them because they're the eyes and the ears for us to take our service out to other clients. So I mean, I've got a staff that I'm obviously totally dependent on, and then I've got some third parties that are call it business development relationships.
Okay, thank you. I just wondered, when you started off in your earlier career as a mechanic, did you ever think you would ever work for yourself?
So both grandpa and dad are rolling in the grave based on what you just said. I don't think either one of them would ever call me a mechanic. I was a mechanic apprentice. I was a helper. I was not good enough to be a true mechanic. I just sort of waddled around and tried to help them. Did I ever think that I was going to be an entrepreneur? Initially, probably not. I was, when I went to graduate school, I did so because I was looking to get in with a big company and move away from a small entrepreneurial environment and go, work in the big city, so to speak. So early on, my goal was to work for a big organization, and I did. It was at some point in that journey where I felt, I can do more, and that's when I started my own company, whatever it was, 26 years ago. So early on, probably not. Later on, absolutely.
So what made you decide to set up a business, set up your own business?
I was a partner in what at the time was the largest real estate company in the world, and my organization was asking me to relocate to a different area, and it was literally on the other side of the country, and we didn't want to move to that other location, partially because of the responsibilities that I was going to have and the amount of time I was going to have to spend on an airplane. And it was the right time when I was thinking about, if you will, making the break, and a client wanted me to help them go public, and they wanted me to come in and help with that process and be the executive on an effort to take a small company public. So everything sort of aligned at the right time, and I made the jump.
Do you ever regret making the jump?
I don't. I think that like a lot of people say, when you know you need to do something, the doing it sooner rather than later is always good. And I guess the only thing that I would maybe do differently is to have jumped sooner. I think that the last couple of years that I worked within the big company environment, I probably didn't grow as much. I'd reached a level of seniority and a level of responsibility where I was able to do what I was doing without growing a whole lot personally. I had a lot of people underneath me, thousands of people underneath me, and there was no personal growth per se. So had I left a little sooner, I'd have probably gotten to where I'm trying to get to faster.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, because I think leaving a company where you pretty much have secure employment to go to start up a company by yourself would be quite a scary prospect for a lot of people.
Oh yes, there's a lot of second guessing through the process. Absolutely, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of wondering if not only if you should, but if your choice of options is correct. I mean, it's not just a question of, should I go off on my own, but it's also the question of, should I go off on my own doing this? And so there are so many things that we can do out there in the world. Making the choice of the thing that you think you're going to do well, that's as much of in the mix as the choice to jump.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Thank you for that advice. What motivates you when things get tough?
I've been asked this question by staff, and to me, it is client feedback. When things are going rough, or when we're not achieving our goals as fast as we'd like, or when like earlier when I said, trying to explain the value of what we do, and you get frustrated with, why isn't the world lining up to do this? It makes so much sense. What I go back to is the feedback that we have from our existing clients. We have a 100% client retention rate. Our clients renew every year, and 100% of our clients have renewed every year. So that says something about the value of what we're delivering. I mean, if you're a great salesman and you convince somebody to do something and they shouldn't have done it, they're not going to renew the next year. And so knowing that we're delivering the value that we are saying we're delivering gives me the comfort that I need to get through those rough patches. When you're struggling, and then you stop and you say, now wait a second though, we're doing good and our clients are happy. Let's put our big boy pants on and let's go back out and do more.
How do you and your company get your customers to renew year on year?
Well, they are happy with the value they're getting. I mean, it's not like we're twisting arms. Once a company has signed up and once a company is starting a program, they are seeing the value that we're talking about. And so getting them to renew is not a problem. It's not a sales effort at that point. It's just an administration effort of doing all the necessary paperwork and preparatory work. We don't have people saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm really not sure if I want to do this again." They're happy.
I'm glad. I'm glad that they are. Is there anything that you still want to achieve in your career?
Well, today, 97, 98% of all large organizations around the world have some kind of a sustainability program. They have sustainability staff. Sustainability, carbon neutrality are part of their operation. Less than 1% of SMEs, of small to mid-sized enterprises, have sustainability programs. Yet 67% of the world employment is SME. If we're going to make an impact on all the things that we want for a better world, we must get the engine that's driving the world, the SMEs, on board. So what would I like to see? I'd like to see that 1% become 5 and 10 and 15 and 20. And I'd like to see a movement within the SME community to become certified sustainable and to use this as a way to grow their businesses, because then we will have effectively scaled this out in the proper way.
Do you think it's going to be easy to get the smaller companies to come on board with the sustainability?
Easy. I 100% believe that it'll be easier tomorrow than today, and easier the next day than tomorrow. Given what I said before about the 100% retention, it works. So the issue is just educating and communicating the value. And when more and more sign up, then more and more will. I mean, I've been with a number of early stage companies where those first few innovators, the clients that signed up for because they did their own research and they really figured it out on their own, those people became early adapters. Or they didn't become, but then we got the early adapters. Then you get the early majority, then you get the late majority, then you get the laggards. So will it become easier? Absolutely. We're seeing it already. I mean, most of our clients are coming to us through referral from our existing clients. So whereas initially we had to do all the work, now our phone rings because somebody says, oh, by the way, a friend of mine who is one of your clients told me I should call you. So yes, absolutely. It is getting easier as we speak.
And what benefits would you think that it would have on a smaller company?
Well, certified sustainable companies are growing 7 to 20 times faster than the non-certified peers. That's a good start. I mean, consumers want to buy from good corporate citizens. Consumers are moving their loyalty from where they're currently buying when they find a certified sustainable company. 7 out of 10 of us will move our business if we find of similar product. You can't have a much higher price or a lesser value. But if 2 companies are offering basically the same product at basically the same price, and one of those 2 companies is certified sustainable, their sales go up, the others go down.
Okay.
That's the data that's out there from the Nielsen's, the Forbes, the Harvard Business Reviews, the MITs. I mean, there are enough studies that are out there, not just ours, not just what we're seeing from our clients, but what we're seeing in the market from other studies. Sales go up. Now, you're doing the right thing for the environment. That should be enough. Your costs are going down. That should be enough. Your employees are happier, healthier, and more productive. That should be enough. Your attractiveness to investors, both debt and equity, and the cost of capital goes down. That should be enough. But oh, by the way, it gives you a new talking point to differentiate from the guy down the street and take market share. I mean, it's the way of the world. People want to move their business to good corporate citizens, and this is the tool.
Okay, thank you. If you can turn back time, would you change anything?
Yes, of course. I would change many things, but I don't think I would change any big things. You know, maybe a conversation that didn't go well, or things that I should have zigged versus zagged. But in terms of direction of where I'm at and where I am today, I'm very happy. So, I mean, I may have not got here in the path that I thought, but am I happy with where I'm at right now and who's around me and my life proper? Absolutely. I would not change that.
That's all the questions I have today. I would like to thank David for your time. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you for listening and see you next week. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, I'd like to gently encourage you to leave a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts and share the show with another person. You can also follow me on LinkedIn or via my website, www.michellefraserconsultancy.com. Thanks again for listening and see you next week.